Hello friends, today we're going to be diving into the topic of what is fix and flip real estate. What is fix and flip real estate? Well, by the end of this video, you're going to have a pretty good understanding of what fix and flip real estate is and how it can be a lucrative venture if executed correctly. Have you ever driven by a property and thought, man, what a dive? I think we all have at one time or another, but those are the exact type of properties that could potentially turn into a gold mine and end up being ideal for a fix and flip. So as we jump into this broad topic of fix and flip, I'll first identify what a fix and flip is and exactly how that strategy works. Secondly, I'll go over the different ways to find these properties. And finally, how you manage the rehab and selling process. If you're ready, let's go. Most of the time when somebody is engaging in the strategy of flipping real estate, there usually is an element of rehab or cosmetic work that needs to happen. So in essence, they are doing some sort of fix to the property before they turn around and flip the property. Now, have there been times when people have actually bought a piece of property and turned around and sold it pretty quickly after they bought it for a profit? It does happen, but it is few and far between. Usually there is that element of fixing into it because that's one of the reasons the property was bought at a discount, is because there needed some sort of element of fix or rehab or cosmetic work that had to be done on the property. So basically, all those homes we talked about that you drove by and thought, man, what a dive. Like I said, those can end up being a gold mine because if you understand a little bit of the rehab process, if you understand some of the costs associated with it and how to reverse engineer what price you need it at from what it could sell at, that could potentially lead you to being really good in the fix and flip strategy of real estate investing. So this strategy works like any other flipping strategy. And most of the time when people say flipping real estate, this is an element of that anyway. But let's dive into the most important element when it comes to fix and flip or flipping in general, and that's getting the property at a really good price. If you don't get a property below market value at a good price, it's going to be really hard to make this strategy work because when you talk about fixing it, there are costs associated with rehab or cosmetic work that is going to cut into your profits if you don't get the property at a significant discount. So in order to find those properties that are significantly discounted, you have to identify two things: a distressed seller or a distressed property. A distressed property is just that we talked about. It's the one you drive by and say, man, what a dive, that needs a lot of work. A distressed seller usually also has a distressed property because they're distressed in their life, and that distress in their life often leads to neglect on the property. But they might be going through a divorce, they might be needing to move really quickly, they might have other things going on in their life. And if you can come to them with a solution to solve their problem of buying their home and some of these sub problems they have because of their home, then chances of you getting that deal done is so much greater than if you just view this as strictly transactional. I actually met a group in a mastermind that they are out of LA and Orange County, and property prices there are extremely high. But because there's a demand for people to live there, they're finding these rundown properties, and they have a beautiful strategy in place where they will go in and they will fix up the property. They've got it down to a science. They've got a construction crew, they've got a rehab crew, they've got some interior design people that give them pointers on what to do. They turn around, they buy these homes at a discount. And we're talking homes that are being sold at $1.2, $1.5 million. They're not big homes. They're not considered mansions by any means, but sometimes they're very small homes, 1,000, 2,000 square feet in that range, and they are fixing them up and selling them for massive profit. And that just goes with anything. If you're buying homes in that market, you need a little bit higher profit than say a home in the Midwest. But I've seen this group, I've watched what they've done, and they've got it down to a science. So even in an area like LA, they're making really good money by doing this fix and flip strategy. So what are the different ways to find properties? Well, before we jump into exactly that, I think it's important to understand the market, right? There has to be a market demand. If you're looking to fix and flip properties in an area that has massive inventory, it's going to be extremely hard, right? Because if there's a lot of homes on the market, that usually means demand is down. People aren't buying it because there's more homes to be sold and not enough people buying them. The biggest differentiating factor in those markets that have a lot of inventory is price. So the only way to get a home sold quickly sometimes might be the price. Now, if you can bake all of that into the strategy of being able to sell the home less than all the other inventory in the market, then you're in a good situation. But if you're in a market that has a ton of inventory and there's not a demand, it's going to be a little bit harder to execute on the strategy. But more important than that is finding properties below market value, as I mentioned. And there's a lot of ways to do this. There's pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, auction sites. There's many ways to find these properties that are going to have to be sold at a discount anyway, because an agency has probably got involved in it. Like with the foreclosure or a pre-foreclosure, chances are the bank's saying, listen, you've missed payments. I'm going to foreclose on this property so I can get the money that is owed to me, or at least as much as I can. And a lot of times now, these properties now in the current economy that we're at, many many of these individuals have some pretty good equity because home prices are pretty high. And a lot of times people bought these homes or got loans on these homes when the property was at this value. So a bank a lot of times is willing to take a lower price because that would actually pay off the entire loan left to the bank. Unlike 2007, 2008, where people were getting homes with very little money down and they were buying them here and the market crashed. And a lot of times these banks were underwater. That's why you saw so many banks fail in 2007, 2008, because they had loans out on properties that were here and being short sold here, meaning that what was owed on the property wasn't even close to being met. And many banks took a bath in that 2007, 2008 housing crisis. So what are other ways you can find discounted properties? One strategy that I really like is utilizing real estate agents. Now, they might know people that are looking to sell the home, or they've got contacts in the industry of somebody who desperately needs to sell their home. And because they have to sell it desperately, they're willing to get out of it at a low price, right? Some people don't like to use realtors, and that's okay. There are many other strategies to use that don't involve realtors, but they can be a great resource. Another way is to utilize software that finds off-market properties. And there are some really cool ones out there. My favorite one is realflow.com. It allows you to put in a whole bunch of criteria for the types of home you're looking for, everything from an absentee owner to pre-foreclosure, foreclosure. You can put all those specifications in there and it'll spit out properties in any area in the United States. They even have some really cool AI built into it that tells you on a scale of 1 to 1,000, and the closer it is to 1,000, it means it's a great deal. Whether it's a wholesale, retail, or rental, it's an awesome tool to utilize. It costs money, but it's worth every single penny because it gives you those off-market properties. Another couple that I really like is Driving for Dollars. That's going around and looking at some of those dives, knocking on the door and asking if they'll be willing to sell the property. I've seen a lot of people who have bought a lot of properties doing just that. And the last way to find properties is utilizing a call center. And there are a lot of call centers out there. A lot of them are offshore and they have really great agents that are calling on off-market properties, asking them a series of questions and getting them prompted and ready to speak to you as the investor to then close the deal down. Now, they don't do all the work for you. You have to actually have some skill set. You got to do a little bit of work in order to negotiate the price and be able to create a win-win situation to solve the problems of the person selling the home. But they provide you leads almost every single day to try and get these properties under contract. So call centers are also another great tool to find properties. Now that we've completed those steps, it's time to manage the rehab process and the selling process of the home. So first off, before we even get it under contract, we need to have a basic understanding of what the rehab is going to look like on the property. It could be even something quickly. And if you have an eye for that, great. Having a trusted real estate or contractor friend or a real estate agent or somebody who understands that market and understands labor costs and other factors is going to be really good to give you a quick basic rundown. Now, once you have it under contract, I would definitely, even if you have to hire a contractor to go in and say, listen, here is a bid on what I think it's going to cost to do these repairs that you're asking for. And if you utilize that contractor, one piece of information that I would give is make sure you get references. I would get references you can call and make sure that people had a good experience with this contractor or landscaper if they're going to go in and do work for you. But having a good understanding of the cost of rehab is absolutely crucial and important. The next thing, and this is really important as well, is to get a professional inspection. This has saved my bacon more times than not. This is where during the period of where you have the home under contract, you typically have anywhere between 7 to 14 days to have an inspector go in and give you a full inspection report on all the challenges with the home. We were looking to buy a home in Galveston, Texas, and we had this inspector go in and it looked really good from the outside. I was really surprised we might get it at this price, but when the inspector came back and said there was foundational issues, we did not want to have to deal with that at all and ended up not executing on the home. But without that, I would have never known that. But they are trained to see those things. So hiring somebody to go in and do a full inspection is crucial when you're looking to buy the home and you're managing that rehab process. Now let's talk about the sales process. One piece of advice I give everybody that's now done everything, they found a home, they rehabbed it, they're ready to go, I would list it realistically. If you don't, it's gonna be challenging to sell, and the more time that it's out there on the market, the more monthly payments you have to make to a private money lender or the bank, it's gonna cut into your profits. And I know you've put sweat equity into it, you've done all these things to make it look nice, you might have in your mind that you need to get this price out of it, but getting it at a good price to have it sold quickly could actually mean more money for you in your pocket than if you were to get it at the high price and have to wait 4 or 5 months for that to happen. The other way to potentially sell your home is going on Facebook and Facebook groups. Now, I talk about Facebook groups a lot in my videos, but I have seen more real estate transacted through these Facebook groups than anywhere else. It's actually pretty amazing because there's very specific groups for specific areas of real estate, whether it's fix and flip, whether it's sub 2, whether it's short-term rentals, and you can find just by posting a property on there for sale, many people that would be interested in buying that, because even though you're selling it as a fix and flip, they might be looking at it as a lease option or a long-term rental, and so there's people that are always raising their hand to say that they're interested in properties being sold. So Facebook is a great way to engage the selling process to find potential buyers for a fix and flip that you're looking to sell. And last but not least is to have a plan B. Let's say everything's done, everything's in place, but you're not able to sell the home. Maybe looking at it as a short-term rental or a long-term rental could be a plan B, just to make sure that you're not taking a bath in those monthly payments that you have to kick out to a private money lender or the bank. So these are some things that I've seen work really well in fix and flip real estate, but I'd be interested in your feedback. Comment below, let's have a conversation. And as always, just for stopping by, watching this video, there's a free gift for you. It is my short-term rental calculator. You put in the purchase price, the expenses, the income, and it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not. Just click on the link below, aaronsfreetraining.com, and it's 100% free, no obligation. And thanks again for stopping by. Have an amazing day.